Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. So Thanksgiving is coming up, and I'm going to tell people what I would do. And with Thanksgiving coming up, if I didn't have custody and my baby's mom hasn't been letting me see the kids or only lets me see the kids on the weekend, and she's telling me, okay, you can see the kids Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving, or have Thanksgiving morning, and I get Thanksgiving night, or you're not going to see the kids this week. My family's in town. Especially if I got kids that are in school and I've picked them up before from school. Here's what I'm going to do. Thanksgiving week, the kids are usually dismissed Wednesday. So let's say my daughter's in school. She's grown now. Let's say my daughter's in school. My baby's mom says, and she's been dictating to me, and I've been a little punk, and I didn't know my rights, and nobody ever talked to me like James Christensen talks to people, and nobody ever informed me that I don't have to obey the mother and I'm not her slave and she doesn't own the child. Nobody informed me of that. And then I finally wake up to reality, and I don't have a parenting plan yet. What I want to do is I want to go to court, or first of all, I want to go to court and set up a parenting plan where I go for full custody. And before I do that, or I get the parenting plan, I set it up, I file with the court, let's say Tuesday. Thanksgiving is Thursday. I file with the court Tuesday so nobody could see, nobody is watching the courts, or if she's planning on going to court or whatever. Or let's say she filed for a court case and we haven't got a temporary order yet. There's no orders in place. When there's no orders in place, period, whether you don't have a case or have a case, I'm going to pick up my kid at school on Wednesday. If the mother plans on picking up the kid, then I'll go to the school like half an hour early, so there's no drama, and say, hey, I'm coming to get my kid a little early. I'm going to take her out for ice cream or whatever, early dismissal or whatever. And I'm going to get the kid, and I'm going to text the mom and say, hey, I'm with the kid for a little while. I'm going to take her for a little bit. No, you can't do that. Blah, blah. What are you doing? I didn't allow you to do that. Say, just let me have the kid for a little bit. It's Thanksgiving weekend. You said that you're going to take the kid from me and keep her all weekend. So let me just do this. And then I blow her off and I buy some time. So in case there's a court case, she doesn't run down the emergency courtroom and get an emergency restrainer or whatever. And she really probably doesn't have that big of a window to do that. But it's Wednesday. The kids are dismissed from school. Court is closed Wednesday night, Thursday, the day after Thanksgiving, Saturday, and Sunday. And I haven't seen my kid overnight, but one time or only on the weekend. I'm going to take advantage of this, and I'm going to keep my kid 5 nights in a row. Because when I go to court, and some of you guys are so stupid, you go to court, I want 50-50, and you've never had an overnight, or you only had the weekends, and you're asking 50-50, the courts don't believe you can handle a kid 50-50. But if you force it to happen, then you have evidence when you go to court saying, look at how well the kid did. Look at me. And I got my daughter. I'll brush her hair and I'll take selfies of me brushing and parting her hair, or putting braids in her hair, or pigtails. If she's a toddler, giving her a bath, cutting her nails, making her breakfast. We'll go to the zoo. We'll do all this other stuff. And I'll have a million pictures. So when we go to court, look at how wonderful it was. And the mother will say, he withheld the child. He tortured the child. How dare he commit blasphemy and keep the child? And I say, Your Honor, if me keeping the kid 5 days in a row is blasphemy against the mother, if that's something that's harming the child, then by her own barometer and by her own mathematical calculations, let's take her math. 5 days is tormenting the child for keeping that child from the mother. She did it for 10 days, 21 days, a month, or whatever to me before. She's doing 10 times worse what she says is harmful to the child. By her own standard, she's abused the child way worse than I ever have. But really, is it abuse for the child to be with the parent? She had a great time. A picture's worth 1,000 words. Look at that. And I'm getting on the offensive. And I go to court, or if I didn't have a court case, then while I have the child, right before I start a court case, and I propose a parenting plan for full custody, and I ask for full custody of my paperwork. And then on Thanksgiving or the day after, I have a process server go to her house, and she's going to be home on Thanksgiving or wherever I know she's going to be, and I'll serve her paperwork. And for those of you guys who are like, you got no testicles, you've been spayed, and You're shaking in your boots even thinking about that because you've been so whipped or dominated by a Jezebel who has control over you, or you're a punk little sissy who thinks it's a crime to act like a real man and play where the children are best according to the science is with the father, and you're sitting here saying you want to bow down and worship mothers and stuff. That scares you just talking about that. Maybe it's time to just grow some balls, and maybe it's time to, if you're afraid that the cops are going to come knocking at your door because it's a crime to act like the father. Think about the guys who say, oh, can I get arrested for kidnapping? Why did you ever take the kid for the weekend in the first place? If it's kidnapping to keep your kid for 5 days in a row, or Wednesday overnight, what's that? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, take him back. So yeah, 5 overnights. Why did you take the kid for 2 overnights or 3 overnights? If it's a crime to act like the father of your kid, why did you take him? Because you're a mentally ill, weak-minded little bitch who thinks that it's a crime to act like the father of your own kids. Stop doing that. Stop thinking like that. Because if what you're saying is true, if you're paranoid little sissy shaking in your boots, showing your thong side, sissy little cowardice thing, like you're really just afraid of a woman. There's no rhyme or reason to what you're doing. Now, in Georgia, if you don't have a court order, the mother's assumed to have custody. But I don't know if it's even a crime. It just says that she's assumed to have custody. In Michigan, if you're not married and you keep a kid for more than one night, then it's a crime. But outside of that, I don't know of any state where it's a crime. Now, those are unconstitutional fascist states as far as those laws go. But in any other state or in Washington, like we have custodial interference. That's if you withhold a child, RCW 9A as an apple .40. This is where you got to read the law for yourself instead of making up your own little paranoia. If we live life according to your sissy little coward little paranoia bullcrap, we should all crawl under a rock and hide because China's going to bomb us or Canada's going to bomb us or Russia's coming and it's going to be Red Dawn tomorrow. But see, they want to sissify us and turn real men and protective men into little sissies because that's the way you take over a country. When all the real alpha male and protective ones are gone, when an invader lion invades the pride, he's going to fight the alpha male. And then once he got that guy, all the followers are there, and so he takes over as the leader. If he conquers the alpha male, the protector male. So there's been an agenda in this country to soften men. Now, there's been a radical feminist agenda. If you go to my flow page, which you should already go to and you should already see my flow page, there's a link to a book called The Case for Custody, The Case for Father Custody by Daniel Amneas. It's 400 pages long. He goes back to the early 1900s when feminists said we want to destroy the father in the home and make him basically a cash machine before cash machines, but they basically said we want to destroy the patriarchy in the home, and that was an agenda for 100 years. And along with that agenda, we want to soften places like America where we had tough men at one point. Now everybody's a sissy little fruity little, tiptoeing through the tulips metro with like Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback. He's got his nails painted, and since he lost, he wants to go cuddle with his poodle. So if you get out of that and want to grow some balls and act like a man and give yourself a chance to prove to the court, I mean, what more proof can you have that the child can handle you other than you forcing a situation where the child handles being around you and has a great time? And you prove it to the court. And if the court says, how dare you do that? Say, where in the law does it say I can't do what the mother actually did several times? Unless you're a radical feminist man-hater, or you're bigoted, just like the Jim Crow South courts were bigoted against black people, you got your own set of bigotry against men. And it's to the detriment of children, because all the science says children do best when living with a father in the home, whether that's a single custodial father or an intact family. The single custodial mother experiment has failed this country for 60 years, and we all know it, and the whole world is crying out for fathers to be involved. And all the science and the data shows. Look at Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3. The scholarly article from the London Journal of Childcare. The paper on 50-50 custody plans by the psychologists in Texas, which 110 other psychologists signed off on, Your Honor. That's 111 expert witnesses in this court saying 50-50 is the best. And you're mad at me for taking the child for 5 days one time and the mother keeps the child for 2 weeks straight? You're mad at me for following the science. When we had COVID that said everybody shut down, everybody go hide, don't hug a human being, cover up your face, stay in your house, quit your business. They said, believe the science and do that crazy stuff. Well, we should believe the science when it comes to the sake of the children, because the best interest of the children includes what the science says about children. And so everybody's going to be mad at me for acting like the father of my own kid? So just something I would do. I know I look tore up and tired. I had an early consult today, and a guy called me up and said, what do you do? Are you a lawyer? I explained what I do, and then he hung up on me. So that's what I deal with. Deal with 3 to 5 no-shows a week, so I look a little tore up. But anyway, Thanksgiving. Be a man.